Welcome everyone, Cliff from Advanced Diagnostics. Our topic today is going to be the 20-digit Infiniti Nissan rolling code system because this is their most robust system to date. It started in 2013 with the four-door Altima and has blossomed into quite a few vehicles. Unfortunately, though, even though the system was designed in a very simple way, a lot of guys and gals are still struggling with these vehicles on a daily basis. It's probably one of our number one calls on the tech support line. And it's also a topic that I see highly discussed on the forums, on Facebook, on KeyPro, on ClearStar, on a variety of forums. This is something that a lot of people get themselves jammed up on, whether it be the Nissan Rogue with the keyed ignition or the proc system. And by the way, the Nissan Rogue recently, it's been reported that there is supposedly a vehicle-related issue. It doesn't matter what key programmer you use. You can't get the learn mode to close. So that will make that the one exception. I have not been able to verify this personally. However, we do have to pay attention to the fact that there have been some reports of this nature from some pretty reliable sources. So we'll leave it at that the Nissan Rogue could be the one vehicle that you may have a real vehicle related issue. Other than that, there's no reason why any of these vehicles should be towed or somebody spends 5 hours on it. And that's what I'm seeing quite often. So let's break it down to how the system was designed. And I think once you have clarity of how it was designed, how it works, you'll know what to avoid so that you can get away from these pitfalls that cause a situation where you're there for hours. So let's start at the beginning. Nissan 20-digit rolling code. That simply means that you have to stay connected to the vehicle. Once you get your number, you need to process that number to get it into learn mode. So you have to stay connected. You can't disconnect and run the number and then hook up again because the number will be different. Okay, so we've established that. Once the learn mode is open, once that number is accepted, it erases all procs remotes from the system, or keys for that matter, if it's the keyed ignition on the Rogue, and puts the vehicle in learn mode. Now here's an important part of the understanding of the system. That vehicle will stay in learn mode until it sees a valid procs. It only needs one, but it has to see a valid one and be recognized. And the same thing with the keyed ignition. It has to see at least one key that it recognizes in order to close the learn mode. How do you know when you're out of the learn mode? When you see this message on the dash. And by the way, keep your doors open. If you close the door, you may miss this. When you completely close the learn mode properly, you will see this key registration message in the dash. Key registration complete. Here's the other important part. You cannot go back and run another code until the learn mode is completely closed out. And this is what happens quite often because of lack of understanding of the system. A locksmith, for example, will accept a spare key or procs from a customer. And it turns out to be the wrong one. So what do? They open the learn mode. They try to introduce the procs key to the system. And the security light indicator does not flash 5 times as it should. Or the dash doesn't even come on when they press and release. Or another mistake they make is they don't hover close to the reader long enough to get the security light to flash 5 times. So they're in the middle of learn mode at that stage. What do? They go and they try to run another code. You can't run another code because it's in learn mode. That's why it keeps getting rejected. See where I'm going with this? If you understand the system and know that you can't go back to the beginning, you have to get to this key registration complete message. There is one way that you can reset the system. This is what Infiniti Nissan does. You can take the negative and the positive lead off the battery, ground them together for 30 seconds, put them back on their proper posts, and then you can run another code. Usually, and the why I say that is because if the system really shuts down quite a bit, you won't be able to run another code. Okay, so what happens is that system, the more it does not see a valid prox, for example, the more it shuts down. It's similar to when you are with a friend and you get into a sensitive topic and you start to get pretty emotional on both sides. And now you're arguing, and then you say something to the other person that you shouldn't say. You know, we've all been there. You say something stupid, and that person now is to the point where they no longer want to talk to you. So you both have to go away until you calm down. Well, this system is similar to that in the sense that once you piss it off enough, you won't even be able to get the dash to come on. And that's why people end up there for 4, 5, 6 hours. Or they end up towing the vehicle because they can't get it to even come on. The way out of that is you have to do the hard reset. And I believe you have to leave that vehicle alone for a while. Sometimes you have to hard reset it a couple of times. You should be able to get it back into learn mode again. And at that juncture, you have to show it a valid prox. Let's go back to the scenario of the person that's trying to put the spare prox in. Let's say it's from the internet, which a lot of people are gravitating towards. They're purchasing parts from unknown sources, giving them to you to program into the vehicle. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be the right one. How do you know? By the vehicle behavior. When you press and release on the start-stop button, and you hover about 1/8 of an inch away from the reader, which is your push and start button, by the way, you have to see your security light indicator flash 5 times. With an invalid prox, one of 2 things are going to happen. You're going to press and release, and the dash will not illuminate at all because it's not a valid prox. Or the dash will illuminate, but you will not get your 5 flashes from your security light indicator. At a given point, and it better be soon, you need to take that prox out of the equation and get a valid one because you're in the middle of learn mode at that stage. Now, I'll tell you something else that happens that really throws people off. When you're in the middle of learn mode, you can actually get to the point where your keyless entry buttons are functional, but the vehicle won't start. That really messes somebody up because now they're thinking, boy, what happened here? Did I program it in? And now it's not starting, and there's something wrong, and the programmer's no good, or the car's messed up. No, it just simply means you're still in the middle of learn mode. The only way out of that is to physically cycle your way out, or hard reset and start again. But once again, even if you hard reset, run another code successfully, you're still going to need to get to this screen where it says key registration complete before the job is done and you're going to have a vehicle that will run again. So let's talk about the physical steps that are needed to close out the learn mode. Because once the learn mode is opened, you can actually turn your programmer off, or you can follow the screen prompts. But let's say you want to understand exactly how you cycle out of it. That's pretty easy. You would press the start stop button once with your finger, your dash comes on. This is exactly what the programmer tells you to do. Press it again, turn it off, and then you take your prox remote with the emblem side, the buttons facing towards you, and you can do one of 2 things. You can hold it very close to the push to start button, and with your other hand, you can, with one of your fingers, press and release the start stop button. Now remember, pressing and releasing is not pressing and holding. You have to press and release, and then hover close to the reader until you see your 5 flashes from your security light indicator. You cannot pull that prox away until that happens. Now let's say you got your first prox to go in. The security light indicator flashes the 5 times. So now you turn the dash off with your finger. You take your second prox remote, you press and release once again, either with the prox itself or with your finger. And the main thing is you're hovering very close to the reader, and you get your 5 flashes from the second prox. What I would recommend is follow the golden rule of first goes last. So in other words, to close it out, you would now turn the dash off one more time. Take the first prox remote that you cycled in, press and release and hover. You're not going to get 5 flashes from the security light. We're just closing the learn mode out, just like you would on any other Infiniti Nissan. Now, some people say this is not necessary. I find that it's a good practice to do this when you have one or more prox remotes. Cycle first and last. All right, so now you've done that. The last step you take is to turn the dash off one more time. That's when you will get this key registration complete message. Once that happens, it's going to go away, of course, in a few seconds. Once again, keep the door open so that you can see this message. You close the door, you'll still close out the cycle, but you won't see the message. And maybe that's not so good because you're not going to have a verification that you've closed it out. So this message will go away, and then your vehicle will run. But it won't run until this happens. So now you have a full understanding of how the system's designed, and it should make it really easy. What you want to avoid is invalid prox remotes and an invalid key on the keyed ignition. The Rogue, for example, on the 2014 and 2015 model year can be old style or new style. If it's the 20-digit system, you cannot use the 46 chip. You have to use the high tag 3 chip, meaning the flip blade key, and not the 104 key. On the prox, it has to see a proper prox for that vehicle. It cannot be locked. It has to be unlocked, truly unlocked. It has to be the right one. If you're accepting a prox from an unknown source from a customer, for example, you're gambling. If you want to gamble, leave that to Vegas, not when you're doing these jobs. But if you do want to try that customer's prox remote, if it doesn't work immediately, then close out the learn mode with a valid prox. Don't fool around trying to get that prox in 2, 3, 4 times, because that's when the system gets pissed off. And it'll be just like what we talked about when you have an argument with your friend. You're going to need to leave that vehicle alone because it can get to the point where the dash will just not come on. I don't usually talk this long. I try to keep these very short and sweet, but I think this video required really going over this very thoroughly so that you do understand how to process this procedure and be done with it in 4 or 5 minutes at the most, and have a running vehicle, get paid, not be there for 4 or 5 hours with an anxious customer and then ending up with a tow truck. That shouldn't happen. That's my message tonight. I hope you found this helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks for watching.